The Japanese found a goblin with 6 eyes. The Las Vegas sheriff is worried about security when it comes to the Formula One Grand Prix. Cadillac is coach building again, and iRacing is finally getting rain. Overall, a normal week of news, I guess. Sheriff Kevin McCall, great name, was on Las Vegas local news because he was worried about the security and the safety of the Formula One Grand Prix. He went on to talk about how there's so many events like football, basketball, baseball, and now racing that he and other law enforcement must keep track of and secure. More specifically, he spoke of the access in and out of the events while they're going on. This comes at a time when it sounds like spending for the event has already gone over the $400 million mark. F1 has also made the demand of all businesses on the strip to pay F1 directly, as they don't want any spectators or the spectator areas to have any view of the race without paying. Add the fact that the November 18th deadline seems to keep getting closer. I guess you can see why some people are talking about it. Besides the locals, most seem to be optimistic about the Grand Prix, so what do you think? iRacing will finally have rain. Now, to be honest, I don't use iRacing. I'll use it in the future, but its costs and the thought of ruining other people's racing when I just don't race enough, it just stops me right now. That said, this is what Greg Hill, the executive producer of iRacing, said about the development progress so far. The major project involves overhauling the weather system to simulate atmospheric conditions including rain, air pressure, temperature, and moisture. There will be dynamic weather effects such as rain, wet tracks, puddles, and evolving conditions. iRacing will also introduce projects like Dirt Refresh and the upcoming Oval Refresh to enhance track dynamics, tire models, and overall realism. And the ongoing optimization efforts focus on architecting the simulation, improving loading times, graphics, audio, and physics, with a goal to evolve and enhance the racing experience. So from what I can see, most people in the iRacing scene seem to be excited about this. So if you actually use iRacing and you really like it, let me know what you think, because, well, you know, your opinion here is a little more valuable than mine, but I figured I'd mention it. Speaking of racing in the wet, F1 and the FIA have been trying to figure out how to diminish the water spray produced by the current F1 cars' diffusers, and specifically the Pirelli wet tires. So far, the FIA has partnered with McLaren and Mercedes to test the bolt-on system that should prevent the large spray in order for racing to actually take place. Nothing seems to be working, and testing will have to move to something different than what is currently being tried. There is a proposal for a super intermediate tire that should work in a broader range of wet conditions. This could be the real solution, as the FIA's Spray Guards project has seriously faced some challenges. So today's episode is sponsored by no one else other than myself. So I am going to be live every single week, usually Friday, sometime around 10 p.m. That is subject to change. If you want to tune in and hang out with me, I will be live, like I said, once a week. So just subscribe and turn on the bell notification. Most of you aren't subscribed, so just come hang out. I race. I'm not always the best, but it is a good time. There's good music. And like I said, it's once a week. Also, if you're in Michigan and you have a cool car that you would like some pictures taken of, check out my website and the contact page, and maybe I could do something for you. Thank you once again to Mraz.com and myself for sponsoring the video. All right, let's get back to the show. Now, this next story, let's just get into it. Cadillac is back to its roots by creating something that's expensive and unique, but not special. What do I mean by that? Well, the EVs being the forced next big thing. Every single chassis design, performance metric, and characteristic isn't unique. Any manufacturer or design house can create a car that feels similar, performs similar, and generally costs something similar to its competition. EVs are just like phones in the sense that they just have different sized batteries and motors. So why is the new Cadillac nothing special? Well, because it has no soul. EVs are just the next horse-drawn carriage where clients pay ungodly amounts of money to have fancy materials and lights manufactured in their own way so their box on wheels can look like their own and feel like their own. Some might say there's nothing wrong with that, but for $300,000, it has no soul. I can buy a Kia that does the same thing, that looks just as futuristic. The abandonment of internal combustion engines means the death of independent expression of freedom if the new coach builders of the world are to have their way. Imagine 50 years from now, when your car is not an expression of who you are and what you can make with your hands, but just an economic indicator of what class you think you're in. This could be the end of the road for independent expression of the people's freedom and self-governance. All right, that was a little dramatic, but you can understand what I mean. And the reality is much closer to, well, Cadillac just sees that there's an opportunity to become more of a Rolls-Royce or a Bentley than, let's say, Buick's bigger brother, especially since EVs essentially equalize the market. Like I said, you have a chassis, you have batteries. That's the drivetrain. So what do you do from there? Well, you build something on top of it. What is Coach building? You have a drivetrain, that's the horse. You build the rest of it. This is why I brought up coach building. That's where we're headed essentially. What are your thoughts? I mean, obviously it was a little dramatic, but it's clear the car manufacturing focus in the future is going to be comfortability, convenience, and virtuing. Not that it isn't already, it's just going to become more obvious. And with that being said, let's get into what really matters, the six-eyed orange goblin terrorizing Japan. Now, I'm going to be honest, I didn't really read this until just now. It's just a spider. I found it on an island. It's really small though, it's 0.05 of an inch, half of a tenth of an inch. Honestly, like I said, I didn't click on it until now, so I was hoping to be something more crazy, but hey, if you stuck around, get yourself a orange goblin. I don't know, man. But that's gonna be the news for the week. What do you think of the companies in the new age coach building, racing in the rain, or Las Vegas being worried about the Grand Prix and its security measures? Let me know in the comments below, subscribe so you don't miss the next episode, and I will see you in the next one.